Hello and welcome to A Life of Creation. My name is Chad and I'm the host of this channel. Please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, and please hit that notification button so that you know when I release new videos. Tonight we're talking to Daniel Maldonado, who is a musician, songwriter, guitar player, does all kinds of different things, helps his community, and he seems to be truly interested in a lot of different things, but I know him from the hardcore band Clear Convictions. So let's hear his story. Just use an overlay. So Clear Convictions.
Clear conviction. Let's go.
Welcome to A Life of Creation. I'm here with Daniel from Clear Convictions. He's giving us his story. Talk to us about Clear Convictions. What's the history and
What's
like
the history?
what have
Well,
you guys done?
long story short, that's gonna be hard. We started playing in 1998.
Dang.
So yeah, so that's gonna be what, 26 years now? 27 years maybe?
Were you guys in high
Uh,
school?
Dude, I was 14 years old.
Oh
I
wow.
was 14, 15 years old, and I was rebellious. I was running away from not home because I was raised by two good parents. um, a very stable household. My mom was a stay-home mom, and my dad was like a full-time uh, oil inspector, and also he was a pastor. So, in that sense, wasn't really the problems wasn't really coming from home, but more like in church as a community. And it wasn't that church was bad or everybody was bad, but there was a point, because it's not the whole time. It's just there was a point where something happened to my family personally that if it affected me, and I started feeling like out of place. So I started going to shows. So I discovered punk, hardcore, metal, and all that. Hanging out with the homies at school and just learning new stuff.
Right.
And it's like, man, I like this. So I started escaping home, telling my mom I was gonna stay at my friend's house tonight, and then we were actually in some venue. Not even venues. Like Puerto Rico didn't even have venues. It was like wherever they will allow people just to play, we will just go gather there and just play and make noise, and
Right.
go hard. Um, and then I did it for a while, finding my place, trying to find myself. I started getting depressed and all that, and it just started, figuring out where I will fit in. And I thought, this community feels like I feel like right now, and I like the music and I like the expression, because hardcore metal that is a way of life.
Right.
So I started feeling like connected in this with the straightish movement and all that. And there was a point where I was in a show super depressed, and people don't believe me when I say that, but that's what happened. That's my story. I was at a show, and coming from a stable home, militant home, when it comes to the things of God, but very flexible. My dad, as I told you before, he was just a metal dude, creative. He loved playing music. He loved uh, drawing and working with his hands, carving wood, and doing all kinds of manual stuff. Uh, I was at this show, and I was very depressed, and I felt like everything slowed down for a second, and I just heard a voice in my head that said, like, all these people are depressed, like you are, but the difference is that that you have me, and I'm gonna send you to them. And at that point, I freaked out. I freaked out, dude. I freaked out. I'm a young kid, and I freaked out. I was like, what is this? This never happened to me before.
Right.
And then I went outside. Mind you, I'm 14 years old, which is a bunch of kids just doing random stuff,
Right.
punks, you know what I mean?
Oh, I
just
do.
punks, we were punks, straight up punks. Uh, and I'm outside just thinking for the rest of the night, I'm outside just thinking about that. I'm like, I gotta change my life. I like it was like I found purpose. But then I went home and I repented, right? I did the prayers and I repented, but I made God my savior, but I did not make him my Lord because there were other areas of my life that I didn't want to give away.
Right.
And I didn't notice that until later on in my life. But at that moment, that's what happened. And so I said, God, if you want me to do this, right? If this is not my hand, in my hand, if you want me to just send the right people. So I
Right.
started hanging out with more people and getting more involved in the music community and all that. But what happened was in my church, a lot of like punk and skinheads and hardcore kids, they started getting saved, man. And they just started teaching me about the music scene and then like what is hardcore for real? What is this or that? Or like punk and metal, and they will make fun of me because I used to listen to a lot of metal, like not poser metal, but well, not it wasn't it was a bunch of like solid state bands. Because the craziest thing is my dad was like friends with this guys. There was a grindcore band in my church, and the guitarist he was good friends with my dad, and he will just bring all these old cassettes, recorded cassettes. It's like,
Right.
and then my dad was like, "Oh, I don't want you to listen to secular music, and I know you like the screaming stuff." So he gave me like Overcome, Unashamed, Focus. He gave me my first
Focus.
POD, right? Focus. They're back. Um, like he gave me Sayo, bro. He gave me a lot, but and it's crazy that it's my story is that my dad
Right.
is just giving me the best metalcore at the time. You know what I mean? He
I
had
mean,
that.
solid state then. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it was.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, but compared to the kids in the in the secular hardcore scene, I will put that music and they were like, "That's not hardcore. Oh, that's garbage." 6 feet deep. What? You know what I mean? Like, ugh. Drummers, yeah, they will say a lot of stuff. So they introduced me to a lot of like the more hardcore scene from Victory Records and stuff like that. To a point that I got introduced to like NIV.
Yeah.
And when I heard NIV Flesh and Blood, I said, "That's what I want to do." And then I said, that's what I'm going to do. The thing is, I got saved, right? I repented. I said, God, I'm committing my life to you, and I'm going to do whatever you're calling me to do. I'm going to do it, but I need the people. So there was this other band in my church, and they were trying to, play music and all that. It didn't work out. So the drummer ended up being by himself. He lost the whole lineup, and then he heard from me that I was trying to, I'm mind you, it was like 3 or 4 days later. That's how
Wow.
quick it was after I had my encounter. And he's like, "Hey man, I heard you want to play music. We want to play shows and all that." And I said, "Yeah, actually, and it's weird because he was like a 20 something year old dude, and I'm like 14, 15. And it's like, sure, man, but it has to be this exact way.
Right.
And this it has to have this purpose. It's for outreach." And he's like, "No, that's fine, man. Whatever you want to, whatever chord you want to play, let's do it, and let's do whatever you want to do." But I have a very clear mindset of what I wanted to do. I knew it was for outreach, and I put it there in the front, like this is gonna be this way. And then we started writing music. We have different people coming into the lineup, people leaving until we have finally a solid four.
Hmm.
And very Christian band, like writing very Christian songs with we will fast. We fasted for a year. That's how Christian it was.
Right.
Uh, and then we came out and we played our first show, and it was a weird festival because it was called Fango, and it was like mimicking Cornerstone, but it was in Puerto Rico.
Nice.
So you had bunch of stages. You will camp in the mountains, and it was called Fango. Fango means the mud. because it was raining all the time and it was so muddy and it was terrible. It was impossible. But it was at the same time it was great. A lot of bands will play there and just have fun, and it was great. So we played that show. It worked. We felt good about it, and then from there we started hanging out. Not secular shows, but there was like a big forum called PRHSA, which means Puerto Rico Hardcore.
Hmm.
And I posted something like, "Hey, I'm in a Christian band, hardcore band, and I'm looking to play shows." Which is there was no hardcore Christian bands. There was just metal bands. There was
Right.
no in the secular scene. There was no Christian bands, not to my knowledge. I was based on my experience. There were some other bands, but they were not, in my opinion, were like they were not involved in the secular scene. Let's put it that way. And then a guy who was very influential in the music scene, actually a Christian, he was like, "Wait, you're saying you're a Christian hardcore band?" And you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna let you play with some real hardcore bands in the secular show and see what how it goes. I want you to go and play. So we went and played, and immediately we gained favor, man. That was God, we
Yeah.
gained favor from the secular scene. Everybody like they would call it the little hardcore kids because we were like literally kids, bro. I was like 14, 15. Um, my drummer was the oldest around that time, and then the singer was older, but I think he was in like early 20s or something like that. But then he left, and then my brother, my like middle child, like my sibling, my brother, he came in as a singer. He was 13 years old.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and from there we started playing shows like crazy. We will play every corner in Puerto Rico. Who cares? Two people, I don't care. I'll give my best. I will go and play. And it was crazy because we were so young, and my mom will take us to shows to play shows.
Right.
That's how crazy it was. Like mommy in the background, hey, you're doing great. Very weird. But we kept preaching the gospel. We kept it bold. And around 2002, 2003, we changed their name. We had a different name. We changed to Clear Convictions because we were gonna release a 4 demo CD and shirts. We want to release shirts, so we changed the name, and then re-released the shirts. And then after that, we gather some money, and then we release our first demo.
Okay.
But somehow, I don't even remember how, Jason, I think, yeah, NIV played Puerto Rico in 2003. So we opened for them. And our set was so wild. I mean, we had a lot, and it was crazy because back in the day, you had no social media, no
Right.
Spotify, nothing. You had no clue. The only way you know how a band played is because you went to a show and saw them live, and you like what you saw. You like the music. That's how it was for us for the first 3, 4 years. Everybody just knew us for watching us play live,
Right.
and we play, and then after that we released our demo, and then Jason, I think he liked what we did, and he was like, "Hey, I wanna have you guys in my distro." So we
Right.
started distributing our music, our demo, everywhere. You will see it on all Phase Zone magazines and stuff like that. Which we were amazed. It's like, how the heck?
Yeah.
It has to be God's grace, God's purpose fulfilled in my life because He said something 4 years later. I'm in a distro. I'm in the face on distro. Uh, Homie from Puerto Rico, from the South, a young kid who has no name, who barely can speak English. You know what I mean? Like I had nothing, dude.
Yeah.
Just the favor of God because I was obedient.
Right.
And for a lot of people, that will be something normal here in the States. It's like, oh yeah, you made it. You still a local
Right.
band. You know what I mean? But for us, coming from overseas, somewhere out of nowhere, a small island, it was huge. It
Right.
was huge accomplishment for me. And then from there, we started having relationship. A bunch of Faithon was popping, bro.
Yeah.
They was popping. back in the day. Like all these hardcore bands, like Bloody Sunday, all these bands, they were all going to Puerto Rico and playing shows. We will
Right.
have the privilege to open for them. And then one day, Jason came to Puerto Rico with Bloody Sunday. And after the show, I don't remember that much because it's been so long, but I remember he offered us to be on Strike First. And I was like, what is going on? Mind you, I wasn't in a good situation in my personal life. I was struggling with depression. I was, I was battling for my life. I went to a major depression. I made a lot of bad decisions. I wasn't living a life of like sin, if you put it that way. I wasn't living a double life.
Right.
I was my whole life I've been straightish. I never smoked, drink, or do any of the things that people will consider like, oh, you're in sin.
Right.
But I was like very prideful and full of resentment because, like I said before, when I started hanging out, was out of not feeling welcome, not feeling part of the church community, and I had resentment against the pastor and some other people that hurt me and hurt my family. And dude, I was very angry all the time, and holding a lot of things inside. So around that point, we were doing great as a band. We were doing, dude, people were getting saved. We were achieving a lot of things that we were boldly preaching the gospel locally.
Right.
Uh, but there was like some struggles because I didn't make God my Lord. I made him myself, not my Lord. So there was areas in my life I did not give to him at all. And we got that deal and all that, but I was in a depression. But I was like still amazed that God's grace, and His favor was over our lives because we got that deal. And then after that, I went to Costa Rica, my first tour ever. We played Costa Rica. I mean, I went through a hard season of cleansing, like dealing with that. The Lord showed me, what was going on wrong with me. My testimony is pretty simple. It's about forgiveness. And it's so powerful because basically the gospel is forgiveness
Right.
of our sins. And I had to, I told the Lord, Lord, if you show me what is wrong with me, because I'm trying to be righteous in my own strength. I'm prideful. I think I'm a good person because I don't eat, I don't drink, I don't, smoke weed and do drugs and do stuff like I think and I'm still trapped in this depression and I don't know what to do. If you show me the way out of this, because all I hear is demons in my head all day telling me to kill myself, literally, and sleeping hours and hours and hours because I was so depressed, dude, that my way to escape was violence or sleeping. And I said, if you tell me what's wrong with me, then I promise that I'm gonna give you my whole life. And you're not gonna be only my savior, but you're gonna be my Lord. My life is yours. And dude, he spoke to me. He's like, bro, you're dealing with a lot of resentment. You're dealing with, anger, bitterness, unforgiveness, a lot of things. And I say, okay, so okay, now I know, thank you. But how this is why I'm so pro solution.
Right.
Because it's not enough to know something, it's important to do something about it. And I was like, well, Lord, what you want me to do? And he's like, I feel like the Lord's like he led me. It's like grab a notebook, write down all the names of people that hurt you and all the people that you hurt. Okay? Because when you're hurt, you hurt. Go to those people and repent and talk to them and put your life together again. And I went by one, dude. Hey, I'm calling you because I hold resentment against you for many years, and I'm done. I need an opportunity. I'm giving myself an opportunity. I'm not expecting you to
Right.
forgive me or be my friend or whatever. But I need to let this out of my bro. And every single person I will go to, I will feel like so much freedom coming, out of my body because I'm not holding grudges anymore. It's not there anymore. It's not
Right.
controlling me anymore. It's not directing my life and how I react to everything. It's just like one by one. Just, I mean, it was a long list. And it's crazy. The craziest people is not the people who hurt you, it's the people you hurt. Because when you
Yeah.
call someone and you're humble enough to say, hey, I know I did wrong. I'm so sorry. And people will be like, how you react to that, So
Right.
forgiving is so important. It's so much cleansing on that. Until I got into my last person who was like my ex-girlfriend, which was the one who got me into just the deepest hole in my life, darkness ever. Um, and when I finally spoke to her, I wrote an email because I couldn't find her. I was so nervous to talk to her, dude. I was like, I think I'm gonna snap, and just
Yeah.
go back because that's how bad it was. Like, and I was like, no, 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 Lord, I can do all things through you. I'm gonna do it. And I called her, but she didn't pick up. And I was like, whew, she didn't pick up. Good. But at the same time, it's like, oh man, she didn't pick up. Now I feel incomplete. I gotta complete this mission. I gotta get free, man. I need to be
Yeah.
set free. 100%. So I email her, but when I email her, bro, I felt like the release, and I felt like something came over me, and I just feel the presence of God and just like cleansing me completely, bro. And I felt like a whole different person. Now, mind you, I'm not perfect. I wasn't perfect after that, but it was a
Right.
process where I got completed. It got completed. I got clean, and I never again been the same way. Never, never, never. Um, From that, we played Costa Rica. It was great. Then we came back to Puerto Rico, and then we toured for almost 2 months. We did a big tour with Bloody Sunday, Seven Star, Ink and Blood. I don't know if you remember that. And a bunch of face down bands. We even played face down fest that year, 2005, 2006.
Okay. I was wondering when you guys played.
Yeah, we play that. They didn't put us on the DVD because we were strike first, but we play that show.
Okay.
We play with Looking Forward and all those guys. I mean, we play all around the states. And then after that, we kept playing. Then we got dropped, and then some members of the band left, and we had differences and all that. And I had to learn to put my identity in Christ and not the things, because one of the things, and coming back to be creative, is that we think that being a creative is who you are, and no, it's
Right.
not. You are a son of God, whether you have or you don't have, or you create or you don't. You still a son of God. You still have the same value. You still, are someone. And sometimes, I used to be like, oh, if I'm not doing this, I am nobody, which is a complete lie.
Right.
You know what I mean? God gave us talents. He gave us the talents and we multiply them for Him. But it's something we do. It's not who we are. It's something that we do. We have to serve other people. Like I said,
Right.
it's not even mine. Being a creative is not even mine. You know what I mean? It's just not mine. This is something that God gave me to steward
Right.
for His glory, for to serve other people, to help. And I went through that process where I had to change my whole identity to Christ and not from creative, oh, this is who I am, clear convictions is who I am, is what I do, to a son of God, you know what I mean? And after that, then I had started over new lines up. Then new deals came in, and we played other East Coast tour, and little things here and there. But the reason why I keep doing it is because even at 40, that I'm doing it all over again, it keeps coming back to me. I don't even look for it. People come in, it's like, hey, you need guys to play. I'm here to play. Like it's always like that. It's never like, you always, sometimes you have to, hey man, you want to play, blah blah blah.
Right.
But it's more like people coming back to me and the Lord reminding me, like, hey, I gave you this talent and use it to multiply it. And
Right.
I am one of those guys, like, let's say I'm playing church. I serve people when I play in church. I'm not thinking about my personal taste. I'm not thinking about, oh, I'm just hitting three notes. I don't care if I hit three notes because I'm serving the people. All
Right.
I'm doing is trying to get the people into the presence of God, like lyrically, basically, because
Right.
that's what it matters. And people are there just to trying to worship. Let's say I'm playing the bass or something. So since I'm serving, it's not about me. I'm just serving. I don't care what I do as long as people are like, and mind you, most of these people don't even know how to sing correctly. They're untuned. You know what I mean? Like, why are you so worried about, you know, why are you making something that is not for you? It's just to serve.
Right.
Like you're complaining about it. I when I do anything else, I do it just to serve, even when I do clear convictions. But if I want to do something that makes me feel certain way, I that's why I have side projects. That's why I do art. That's why I do other things. You know what I
Right.
mean? You can't have make your job or whatever you do in ministry in church, the main thing because your head's gonna explode. You're not there to for yourself.
Right.
You're there to serve someone's and to lead people into something, whether it's you're taking pictures, whether it's that you're in the worship team, whether you're doing sound, whether you're preaching, is you're leading people closer to Christ.
Right.
It's not about you. So if you want to do something for you, then start your own projects and don't be complaining. I don't know. So that's my take on that. um So clear convictions is something that I do to serve people, but it's something that I do for myself, and I focus most on that when I'm doing it. Um, but everything else, I just do it to serve people. That I keep that mindset, and it helps me a lot.
Yeah.
It helps me a lot, and like the Lord keeps reminding me, "Hey, you're 40. Yeah, maybe you have different perspective of life now. You have kids and all that, but just I gave you this, multiply it for me,
Right.
and do what you love because it's also something that I love. So and I'm grateful for Click Convictions for that. Because it's not only there was a point that I tried to make it more like relevant and more like not a career but something that I because it's hard to be a parent plus have a job plus come and play music plus have ministry. And I was
Right.
like, what if I do something where I can at least be in ministry and play music and get paid for this?
Right.
It doesn't even have to be clinical. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like three in one. 3 in 1. That would be great. It's like you cut a lot of corners, but it's great where you, you know what I mean? Having like do it all at once instead of splitting yourself and like. But then I realized, you know what? God, your will is more important, you know.
Yeah.
And I want to change my focus on that because it's not working out. I am doing things I don't feel like myself at all on many of the things that I'm doing, and I just want to go back to the basics and want to go back to ministry basically. And this was made for outreach, and whatever it takes me again. Like it did back in the day. I wasn't focused on trying to do anything big. We were just like, let's play hardcore and
Right.
preach the gospel, and that's it. And it led us to a great opportunities, and it's happening again. We're keeping it quiet, but there's a lot of things behind the walls, that they're happening. They're great opportunities that is like, wow, man, having the right focus, you
Right.
know, um, it's leading us back into great opportunities and God is being glorified.
Right.
That's the great thing about it. I don't need like I don't feel like I have to compromise or tone it down or not be upfront about it. It's
Right.
like, nah, who cares?
Right. Yeah. I feel like in my early career as a photographer, I didn't get paid hardly ever. And it was kind of, but then I just kept doing it because I loved it. I had passion for it.
Mhm.
But there's like shooting the face down bands. I'm like, these guys probably have less money than me. I just am happy that they want to use my photos. And it was just, it almost felt like that was just my mission to
Mhm.
just support, the bands that I loved and
Right.
give them photos. And there was a time where there was a really good like hardcore punk scene in Orange County, and this was like I think I saw the first band in 2007, and it only lasted probably 4 or 5 years, and I kind of had started having a job. I had a little more money, and they were like the young kids, starting their own shows and doing
Yeah.
their things, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, use my photos as much as you want. I'm just here to support you guys.
Right.
And they were most of them were anti-Christian and everything. And it was for me, it was just like I didn't have that scene like that really when I was growing up, and I just loved it. It was like Minor Threat style, Black Flag
Yes.
style
Yeah,
bands,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just like,
First wave hardcore.
yeah, it did my soul so good to just watch these kids do it, and it was so I would buy their records, I'd buy their T-shirts because I had money, and it was just like I remember like one guy turned to me at one point and was like, "Wait, dude, you're a Christian?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "Huh? I haven't met a Christian like you before. That's awesome." And it was, I think I became known as like the Christian guy who's going to these shows, and I'm still friends with a lot of those
Hey,
guys.
that's great. I mean, I mean, we need to go. We need to go to them
Yep.
because probably none of these kids are gonna come to us. They're not gonna go to the church, and it's our mission just to go there and serve them.
Right.
Whether you're taking a picture, whether you are playing a song, and making noise with them,
Yeah.
whether you're jumping around, having a good time talking to them, uh, serving people is way bigger than just like going straight with the gospel of Jesus, which is important too. I'm not
Right.
taking that away, but that's my like I said, everything you do it to serve a bigger purpose, right?
Right.
And it's great to see that if you're playing a song or taking a picture or a paint or something, doing something that serves someone else, and then that person gets out something great out of it. Like for example, the other day, not the other day, but I would say like 2 months ago, some guy wrote to me and he's like, "Hey man, I stray away from the Lord for a long time, and I was listening to your music, and I just felt like I needed to repent and go back like for real in the things of God." And man, I felt conviction, and I just repented, and I'm back, and I'm doing it. I'm in for it till dead. Like I feel like I felt convicted by your lyrics. I feel like your message, resonated with me, and I felt great. You don't have to be famous to be used by God. You don't have to be, I don't know, have some status. You just have to serve people with your talents, and when you do that, it takes away all the depression. It takes away all the numbness of, like for example, uh having a job where you do like photography. It can become like a little bit, ugh, after a while.
It
Or
does.
playing music, or yeah, yeah, it's mundane. It's just something that you do every day to a point that it's like you. But if you start using your talents just to serve other people, it tones down that stress from like, oh, my passion, it turns into my job, and now it sucks, and I'm stuck here, and I want to do something else. And not necessarily you need to do something else. You could just, like I said, just start thinking in ways to serve other people. It's better to give, man. I'm telling you, it's
Yeah.
better to give. And even at work, you can just, if you focus in just giving your best, give and serving people, it will take you places. It will take people places, which is more important, but it will take you places today. And even if it takes you to a place of peace and fulfillment, that's it. That's all you need.
Yeah.
And when I do the music, when I do stuff for the church, right? Related to music, I do it to serve, and I'm not trying to fulfill myself. I'm trying to serve. And when I do music, and that's why it's always so fulfilling. And it gets more fulfilling when you get financial rewards, because I'm not gonna lie, we all need that. It's
Yeah.
not that we want it, we need it.
Yeah.
uh, and when it builds it into a career, it's great. I mean, it has to be great, but if your mindset is not in the correct place, it will make you miserable. And it happened to me, and it happened to a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
And then they turn away from God because now they're not fulfilled, because they want all this and they feel limited, and it's like they don't realize. hey, you have changed your focus from serving people, serving others to yourself. And when you become full of yourself, then you become depressed because you cannot fulfill yourself.
Yeah.
And those gifts that you have are not to for yourself, are to be stored and used for a bigger purpose to bless other people. And that's why a lot of people get depressed and they start looking here and there. And it's like you don't need to be looking for many other things. I mean, you might need to, right? Because there's season. But there's also the fact that you probably need to shift your focus.
Right.
You need to redirect like I did. I was like, oh, I see why I was so miserable for the in the last season. It's like because I was trying to do this for myself to have some, financial gain and just to stay relevant and all that. And I was doing a lot of things that I still support, but I didn't feel like myself. And I feel like that's not what God wanted me to do. And I was just trying to go around the corner, cutting corners, go around whatever God put in my heart to do, and try to do it my way. You know what I mean? Just to get somewhere, and I really never got anywhere.
Right.
And it's crazy. I support. I am all for small business. I support musicians getting paid to play. I support musicians, even Christians. If your goal and your dream is to have a career in music and God put that in your heart, I support it. I don't care what kind of music you play. I don't care. I'm not a gatekeeper.
Right.
You know, as long as God is with you, you go and do it. But just you need to have the right mindset. And it's a mindset of selflessness. Because if you're selfish, you're gonna be miserable no matter what you do. You can change your venture all the time and be successful every time and still feel the same way, and it's because your focus is in yourself.
Right.
And self-fulfillment is never enough. It's like you're never fully satisfied with anything you do. You're gonna see even like I mean there were seasons in my life like when I get married I'm gonna be happy, not happy. When I get kids I'm gonna happy, not happy. When I play this music I'm gonna not happy. When I get this level of like success, not happy. And it's like well I keep pushing the goalpost
Right.
further down with all these ideas of what's gonna make me happy, and then I realized, wait, I'm doing something wrong, and it's that I'm putting myself. I want to make myself happy and use what I have for myself, my own gain, and empty, bro, empty, empty, empty. And it's like why? You know why? And it's like because you're focused on yourself. You were happier when you were just giving,
Right.
giving, giving, serving, serving. Stop thinking about yourself. Stop thinking about you. Stop thinking about others again. Start thinking about others, and you will fulfill. You will be fulfilled. And I mean, it helps. It helped. It helped me. Hopefully, whoever's listening to this, it helps them too.
Yeah.
Because it's a very. It was very. It's very important that you understand that.